20 minutes, talk about you, talk about the industry, talk about what's going on. I usually cook while I talk and interview with you, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can critique it. But anyways, I'm going to make, get this, cauliflower gandules mamposteado. We got to eat healthy. We got to eat healthy, and we still got to eat flavorful para ver. But anyways, thank you, Chef Pagan, for being on the show. How have you been? Talk to me. What's going on?
I've been just like everybody else during COVID, doing everything as we go because we get some, all the curfews and all the changing of the liquor laws and all that. It's been really, really, really tough because if I'm gonna close, just like the hurricane and then open back up again, I have a plan, but there's no plan on the ever-changing change of, government directives as of to, oh, we're going to do the curfew this time, then you're going to do a percentage of occupancy in the restaurants of less, of more. And, at least I've been trying to, I haven't laid off anybody from my restaurants, thank God. I've been giving them less hours because we're working less hours now.
Do you think now the pandemic, are people still feeling safe to go out? How much of the business are you predicated on tourism versus local high-end dining?
Tourism, probably 10%. 10% because of the tourism quality right now in Puerto Rico. We have flights with a couple of airlines that are probably like $70 round trip.
Yeah.
So anybody can come to Puerto Rico, not necessarily the high-end clientele that we usually have in Condado and the Condado area. So we don't get any of those tourists. The local clientele have been backing us dearly, and it's been really good for us.
Good.
But still, we need to close around 7:30, around there, start wrapping up, because by 8:30, the government doesn't want anybody at the restaurants.
Yeah. Physically. So let's start before that. Let's start before you got to Puerto Rico. Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Puerto Rico, but I practically after high school lived in the States for around 15 years.
Yeah, I saw you, and you started cooking in the kitchens in Miami, correct?
Yeah, I started in Miami around the early 90s, and worked with a couple of great people when the food scene was only Gables, Coconut Grove, and some Miami Beach. Miami Beach was just full of like 2 clubs and 2 restaurants, something like that. That's it.
What made you go back to the island? I mean, it's always about timing, and you were there when the Latin explosion estaba pasando en Miami, ¿sí?
Oh, definitivamente, yeah. But the thing is that...
Y la decisión para ir a Puerto Rico, ¿por qué?
Because my mentor, that is no longer with us anymore, Alfredo Ayala, he called a friend of mine. I didn't know the guy. He called a friend of mine, and he told me, listen, you're in Miami, right? And I'm like, yeah. So Alfredo is going to Miami for the SOS Taste of the Nation. And this was a big thing back then. Norman Benaken was there. Mark Militello was there. Alan Susser was there. That was the scene over there. And it was really cool. And so I talked to him and I said, listen, I don't know you, but I've seen you on like Food and Wine and whatever. And you're Puerto Rican, so I really admire you, and let's do it. So we worked the Taste of the Nation, and then he called me. Probably I was going to Johnson & Wales at that time, and he called me up like around Christmas. This was summer. He called me up Christmas on '95. Mm-hmm. And he told me, listen, why don't you come to Puerto Rico to help me out in one of the restaurants that I just opened? And I'm like, okay, so you don't know me that well, but let's go because I want to get to know you. So I started working with him. He called me back. I worked for Christmas with him. He called me back in '96 and he told me, listen, I need you to work with me. And I'm like, whoa, I need to move to Puerto Rico. he convinced me. His style of food and his wisdom was so great. There's a lot of chefs that have worked in a lot of places, right, in their
Yeah.
career, and it's it's uh, it's it's very rare that you come up and work with somebody that's like a virtuoso or a once in a lifetime chef, right? That
Yeah.
has all this knowledge and all this resume behind him. And I started to get to know him. And finally, I said, forget it, I'm going to stay in Puerto Rico. 4 years later, he offered him what was my first restaurant, Chayote. In 2000, I bought it off of him, stayed there for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I got well known on the island because of that restaurant. That was a great platform for me.
Tell me what made you well known on the island. Before you do that, did you see how quick I made? Look at it.
My God, that was so quick.
¿Viste?
You had that rice done.
Yeah, it's cauliflower, gandule, manposteado. So it's got
cauliflower. God damn.
That's how you do it. So you're gonna add that on there. You're gonna say el chino pagan because it's chino mi pagan combinación. I fell in love with that. Cauliflower rice has that watery consistency for the manposteado y es más saludable. But anyways, so what made you popular amongst the island chayote? Because you're Puerto Rican going to the island. It's like me going to Nicaragua. How am I gonna stand out and also be embraced by the locals? So what was it about chayote that made you stand out?
Well, Chayote was the only place that I can tell you because of Alfredo's background in French cuisine, because he worked with Eric Ripert in the kitchen of Joël Robuchon.
Oh, Robuchon, yeah.
Yeah, in Paris. So they worked there. They met there. Actually, Alfredo is the godfather to Eric Ripert's son. So
by the way, I enjoy watching you guys hang out on Avec with Ripier.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, man, I'm a big fan. You got hangueando ahí, and it's just badass. So
Eric is more Puerto Rican than a lot of people think because his wife is Puerto Rican, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's local, you know.
He knows the best lechonerias in Guabate. You know, he knows the spots que donde está el pavochón que se crió, and that's badass. So I'm telling you, I'm a big fan. So it's an honor to have you on. So going back to Chayote, you had the French with Puerto Rican flavors, maybe what made it?
Yeah, well, the thing is that in Puerto Rico was really difficult to mix. Puerto Ricans, they usually eat salty, right? Exactly. So to mix fruit and salt and all that and be really bold at that time, it was new. It wasn't normal. So Alfredo got to recognize himself by doing that, you know. And I started going on that pattern. And Chayote was international, but with local touches and flavors here and there. So let's say instead of doing a normal risotto, we will do pastel risotto. That is our local tamal, but with no meat or anything. We'll make a sauce out of that, and then we'll make the pastel. And we'll have that for Christmas. We'll put truffle with yuca.
I like that. So what else? What's the second? Yuca with what?
Yeah, we do fried yuca with truffle aioli. Things like that. I tend to take every dish and try to include a little bit of history of the Puerto Rican food into it. Twisting it and taking it to another level. And I've been doing that since. And that took me to, after Chayote, I opened Lemongrass. That it was a Chino Latino joint that I had.
Yeah.
I think the Asian influences in the Caribbean and our food go well together.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. And I love Asian food.
Number one, thank you for explaining the Chino Latino influences, why you call it lemongrass without using the word fusion. Me cae mal when people say fusion, because all you're doing is what you just said. Asian flavors go good with this kind of food, and I like Asian food. Porque a mí me cae mal when people say fusion. I think of a chef trying to force flavors.
Yeah,
Versus showing the combination,
Yeah, you just gotta let them flow naturally. And I think that if you substitute something for this and for that, and logically it goes well, it goes well. It doesn't matter what happens.
So
Let me
you,
give
so
you
you,
an idea.
yeah, give me an idea.
Um, right now, I had Ming Tsai the other day at the restaurant.
Oh,
Right, he's a dear friend of mine because
badass, bro.
we competed on the next Iron Chef. And I have a great anecdote about that one. And Ming comes up to the restaurant. And he was like, "Okay, Mario, you have wasabi grilled cheese," and I'm like, "Yeah, with papaya," and I'm like, "Yeah." Oh my god, that works, and to have Ming say that, so it's a grilled cheese, straight up grilled cheese with a the cheese is, we incorporate the wasabi into it.
Uh-huh.
We do the grilled cheese, normal grilled cheese, and then we put some papaya preserve on top with mild on salt.
Okay, so number one, I want to take pride that this is probably going to be one of your most memorable interviews, because I'm not just interviewing you as a fan, but yo también conozco comida. So the fact that I'm closing my eyes and you just said you would infuse the cheese and then the preserve on top, it's that balance.
Yeah, and then what we do is that we do a compost butter with sesame seed oil and sugar, and that gives the whole grilled cheese like something out of the ordinary, right?
Y tiene pegado del queso, correct, on the
Oh
edge.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And right now for the new menu, just to give you an example, for the new menu, we're doing the same thing with morcilla and the wasabi cheese. And believe me, it sounds out of the box, but it's really, really, it works. It works. It sings, in your mouth.
Didn't at one of your restaurants, and forgive me if I'm wrong. Well, one, Ming Tsai is amazing porque el tipo es chino, cultura china, orgullo, pero French techniques.
Yeah,
Kind of,
definitely.
kind of like you, and like even Douglas the other day was talking about his passion for French cuisine. So I'm starting to see that in you guys. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at one of your restaurants I had an egg roll of a morcilla.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
I had a
We've
same
had that.
store. But
We've had that.
I love morcilla, and I love how you packaged it up in that. So anyway, so that's awesome what you were doing there, and and I love when going to Puerto Rico porque todo es frito. So I love
Yeah.
going to restaurants. You got the option un bistec and the local vegetables, which is I appreciate, because I think Puerto Rico, the island, has a lot more to offer, different things to offer. Because I don't want to discount, chinchoreando, because I love that, and who doesn't like the cuajito en la mañana when you had too much partying the night before. So I love that part. So where do you see the industry headed now with post COVID?
I think whoever has the best to go package is the best right now, because everybody's trying to cater to delivery and pickup, and but I think after, the most important thing is just to hang on. Is to have this conversation with your landlords. The real thing. There's not going to be a lot of restaurants left after this. The way Congress is behaving right now. So I hope that they come through for the states.
Yeah.
We don't get that much here, but I hope they do, because I have a lot of colleagues that are suffering right now. My buddies in New York, they just closed down on Monday, and that's hurting them. It's hurting me knowing that that's going on over there, because I've been through that, and it really hurts. The most important thing is to try to keep your employees aboard, and try to come up with solutions, financial solutions that
Yeah.
can keep you afloat and not drag you under. That's the most important thing. But after COVID, it's going to be a lot of money rolling down. So
Again, you see, that was precisely the answer. It's like you're telling us to weather the storm, pero que se pongan pilas, because I'm sure you've also learned to what you want to do differently post-COVID, correct?
Yeah.
Enhance the sides menu, and because you're gonna have to deal with capacity constraints potentially.
Yeah.
So have you thought about opportunity also? Because I think that people are gonna be ready to expand with the Pagan Empire.
Well, yes, I actually I have a big, let's say my retirement project, right? I'm not that old, but let's call it a retirement project
Yeah,
because
you're young. You're young, bro. You're young. You're my age.
the project is gonna take at least 8 to 10 years to develop at least 15 restaurants. They're gonna be a Latino chain restaurant, and a higher level than Cheesecake Factory, let's say, right? But sort of like the same price point. I don't want to, I want a restaurant to be for everyone, but it's not gonna be Puerto Rican, it's not gonna be Nicaraguan, it's not gonna be Colombian, it's gonna be Latino. It's gonna be all the experiences that I had in my life in terms of food cooking here and there and making all these weird interpretations of international dishes from the Latino community. I'm bringing them into that menu, into that concept. It's going to be a very hip concept. It's going to be a beautiful concept. And we're starting in Orlando next year. And from then on, there's going to be 13, 14 more, probably 15, hope to God. And and now the opportunity is now because we were on hold with that. What brings me to your point of all the opportunities. We were on hold for at least a year, and then COVID hit because of the places that we wanted to go in to lease. Now, people and brokers that told us that no, you don't have the standing in the States to lease from us or whatever. They're calling me up. You remember our conversation? And I'm like, yeah, I remember me. Okay, so now, I have the upper hand. Thank God.
Eso lo que me gusta is that we're talking about business and combining that. Now, before they came to you, it's because you made a name for yourself. How, looking back, what do you credit? I'm assuming that you're going to say that you were dedicated to your craft, always to be mentored by the best. But there was beyond that, because a lot of people have worked for some of the best, but very few can achieve a Pagan status. You are like the top names that are mentioned when you talk about Puerto Rico. It's not an easy feat. How do you think you achieved that?
Because you have to have consistency, first of all, and stay true to your ingredients here on the island. And you have to have faith in what you do. And if you're certain that you're doing the right thing, believe me, people will come through the door,
And what was your right thing?
My right thing was never to lie to them in my menus, never to con them on my menus, because that I see that a lot. And that's why, sometimes restaurants go down. And service, consistency. But most of all, the treatment that you get once you come into the door until you leave. I mean, that's the whole key. And that's my motto, because I was a waiter before I became a cook. That was embedded in me.
That's how the gems come out. I'm telling you in my interviews, is that you are who you are today because of your experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Because you started from a waiter, you understand the importance of the service aspect, because you can have the best menu, but if the service on the front end is not, or the food is not consistent when you're not there because you have a team, eso te jode,
I was a busboy before I became a waiter. And let me tell you something, when I bought my first restaurant and I was doing crazy amounts of money at the beginning, I had to a couple of days jump into the dishwashing machine.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't gonna let my ship go down because I just wanted to macro manage everything.
Yeah.
You have to be there. You have to just put your guts into it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole trick.
I like that, because this isn't just for our viewers and your fans, but it's also for people to understand how they went from 0 to 1 by having people like you on here. So that is awesome, bro. So let's have a little bit of fun, okay? What are some of your pet peeves when people go dine in general, not just your restaurants? ¿Qué ellos hacen que te molesta? So this is like a hashtag, ¿qué te molesta?
Gluten-free!
I love it. Exactly. That is, it's like, because you're an avid tennis player, so you stay in shape and you have the heart rate up.
Yeah. Yeah.
People think they're gonna go vegan and they're gonna load up on bread y todavía están gordo con 17 filters, right?
I mean, I can deal with the vegan because I always have vegetables around, and it's cool for I love when my chefs, mess around with dishes for vegans and for vegetarians. But the gluten thing, man, come on, that's my pet peeve, big time, big time, big time.
I got you. What is your pet peeve in society, especially with the political divide and in the way Latinos are acting? Not your political beliefs, pero cómo están actuando la gente que ahora le gustan to critique each other without talking. What are some of your pet peeves?
No, my pet peeves definitely racism. I mean, I'm Puerto Rican. We're descendants from Africans and Spanish people and even Americans, because a lot of Americans came over in the 60s and they bred over here. So there's a big mixture of culture, and it really, really pains me. It disgusts me, to see all this racism going on politically and all that shit. I just cannot take it,
I'm with you. We can deal with any administration, but racismo, la ignorancia is number one on my priority. I don't care how much of a tax break I get,
Yeah, and ignorance through social media, that's just big. That's big for me. That's just.
I love it when you find out that people you look up to are even better when it comes outside the restaurant, right? So
you just gotta have common sense. It's just.
Exacto. So let me ask you this: if you weren't a chef, what would you do as a career?
Formula One driver. I can tell you that's my passion.
You're a dangerous guy.
that's I would have loved being a Formula One European driver, European circuit, because I think I love speed. I love fast cars. I don't have a boat. I don't have a whatever. I love fast cars,
Okay.
And that's been one of my dearest hobbies ever. I
got it. Before the next two questions, I don't know enough, but I'm doing research. Should Puerto Rico become a state?
I think that Puerto Rico is already a state. The thing is that,
Not a Commonwealth. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that we don't do is pay taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
U.S. taxes. Practically, we have anything that you can find in any state of the United States, right? I believe that eventually we will become a state because there's no other way. Either is independence or statehood.
Listen, and let Texas concede. We'll take Puerto Rico, bro.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I was raised with in half of my life, of my young life, I was raised in the States. I love, working. I love living in the States. My heart is in Puerto Rico, and that's why I'm here. But the more attached we are to the States, I think that it's a great thing for us. I mean, you wouldn't be talking to me right now if it wasn't for a relationship with the United States.
Absolutely.
Douglas Rodriguez would have not come to Puerto Rico to do a restaurant here and in the San Juan Hotel if it wasn't for a relationship, because it will be a little bit more, there's trust in a relationship like that.
Oh, absolutely. And absolutely. Okay, next question is, if a dead person or a live person, who would you love to have dinner with? Bro, these are real fucking questions, Papi.
Oh my God. Well, I have to tell you that it has to be my grandfather.
Dang, that's awesome.
And my mentor, Alfredo, that died 4 years ago, because I would have loved to introduce him to my grandfather and to tell him that he was the one who gave me the money before he died to buy his restaurant.
It's amazing. We interview a lot of people, and it tends to be que los Latinos son lo que dicen it'd be a family member. Some say other people, artists or business people.
No, I would love to have a chat with my gramps, man. I would love to have a chat with my gramps and tell him what I'm doing right now,
Last meal on this earth, what would it be?
Last meal on this earth will be arroz con tocino, that is fatback white rice, with a couple of fried eggs on top, and guineitos niño, that are baby bananas caramelized with rum and sugar and all that, you know. That would be, and a little bit of avocado on the side.
You have to.
That would be great.
I love that combo. Sencillo, but it's got the sophisticated touch.
It's got soul.
Yeah,
it's got soul.
No, I love it, man. I love it, man. Listen, I want to thank you, and I hope you enjoyed yourself.
No, thank you, man.
I actually like this interview better than my cauliflower maposteado.
No, I love your. Let me ask you something. Did you dry it off the cauliflower on the pan before, or did you?
No. What the hardest part is what you do is I did the sofrito. I put the gandules with water, okay, because that serves as a consistency. Yeah. Then the natural frozen cauliflower rice, it turns into a caldito. And then you salt it when it's about 30% done, because I want it, el de manposteado has got to be soupy, right? So instead of letting it evaporate all, and of course the sazon packet para el color. I mean, you can see the color.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, but I've enjoyed this, and I look forward to visiting you soon. As soon as I can get back to the island, I can't wait to take my girlfriend there to try you, and then meet your restaurants and try your food. Pero muchas gracias por la
entrevista. And please bring me a gluten-free recipe, please.
Un fuerte abrazo, mi brother, okay?
Take care, man. Gracias, bro.
Hablamos.
Gracias. Chao.